Well, welcome to this edition of Automotive Fleet on the Move. I'm excited to be here with Darren Bradshaw, Senior Vice President of Mopar North America. Darren, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's dive in. Let's dive into the questions here. Let's talk about Mopar's role. I mean, Mopar's been around for how long?
Well, we'll be celebrating our 90th year, I believe, this upcoming year. So 90 years in this game.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, let's talk about over the last decade, because Mopar's role has really changed, and let's talk about that change and maybe what Mopar's role looks like moving forward from here.
Yeah, so I think just to kind of frame it, right, I think when we take a look at Mopar has a broad range and responsibility within our organization and for our customers, right? So starting with having the responsibility of getting parts where they need to be, customer care, their involvement, technical service operations, as well as advanced launch, and guys making sure that we have the right profiles lined up for parts to get to where they need to go. You know, I think when we think over the last decade, there's been a lot of evolution. And I think that when we think through from our perspective, changes that have come to bear, obviously from a parts perspective, we've gone and we're now on the foray of launching B-Pro Auto Parts.
B-Pro Auto Parts?
Yeah, which from our perspective is really focused around being a second line and focused on competitive makes. So when we think about that in terms of the applications, one, you'll have a second line for Stellantis applications, but then you'll have the competitive makes that will allow us to service the fleet itself. So when you talk to competitive makes or mixed vehicles, and then obviously a nice alternative for fleets in terms of a competitive offering to go after and maintain a vehicle.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
I think also, you know, from our perspective with the performance revival, we had the release of the Crate engine, and obviously we've had a big focus around accessories in Mopar. And so obviously you have it on the retail side in terms of what customers are looking for, but obviously a number of applications in terms of customs or upfits that can occur within a fleet environment. From a service perspective, I think that connected vehicles becomes a bigger and more important role. Sure. And that connectivity allows us to do things like introduce vehicle health reports, vehicle health alerts, that really allow us to engage with our customers and kind of bring that connectivity in a way that we can deliver a better experience by engaging faster. I think also through the improvement of our express lane, so obviously the expansion of that process in our dealer network, and then driving retention of our customers as a part of that service offering. And then of course my FlexCare. So the offerings that we have, we continue to evaluate our market positioning, but looking to provide solutions that give our customers flexibility and options to get coverage on their vehicles that they think are super important. So I think, you know, from our perspective moving forward, we've made significant investments in terms of our parts distribution footprint and automation. I think, you know, with what Amazon's done and what consumers' expectations are over the last 10 years, those have obviously filtered over into every aspect of commerce. And so we've responded in terms of making significant investments on automation, re-looking at our center of gravity and making sure we have parts distribution locations that service our customers in the right way. And then we've made investments in inventory to make sure that we can get the right part where it needs to go when it needs to get there. Yeah. I think in addition to that, and from a technology perspective, the focus around, if I think through basically service scheduling or integration into systems in dealer networks, we are doing a lot of that integration, APIs, making sure that the flow of information is going to continue to work and provide a seamless experience. So, you know, I could go on with a lot of some of these other things. But I think that those are kind of key elements, and I think there's a bright future, particularly as we continue to think about the connectedness of vehicles and the advances made in terms of technology and how we can integrate things like AI and other technology-related items to provide an even more seamless experience for customers.
Yeah, well, Darren, I mean, you touched on it, but let's talk uptime. I mean, it's been vehicle price, right? Vehicle price and capability. But like now, uptime, it's kind of like a primary competitive differentiator. It can be, right? And I mean, how do you guys handle that?
Look, I think that for us, we've received a lot of feedback regarding it's not just about the vehicle, right? For our customers expect, and I think a differentiator is making sure that a customer's fleet is up and running, and that comes back to basically uptime. So what are we doing about it? What I would say is one of the key introductions that we have is really around the field force. Making sure that so when I say field force, guys that are actually in the field that are calling on dealers that are also calling on fleet customers. Okay. And making sure that we have that presence, that availability of our people to make sure that they're integrating with our dealers, making sure that we're training them, making sure that there's an understanding of what the needs of a fleet customer are.
Yeah.
I think also what we've done is introduce and staff up more from a technical advisor perspective. So where we have a requirement for support, we have people there that can engage, that can help the fleet customer or the dealer on more complex repairs in order to be able to work through that process. And then obviously with some of the technology that we're referencing is how do we leverage communications through connected vehicles for DTCs or other flows of information that we can then engage, knowing that there's an issue with the vehicle that we can better engage to help the customer drive that uptime.
Sure. Well, let's talk about Pro One next. I mean, it's sort of like an uptime command center.
Yeah.
That concept is really novel and really interesting. Dig into that.
So if we're going to talk about Pro One next, what we're talking about here is really focused on uptime. And what that does is it kind of pulls together data sources, whether that be coming directly from the vehicle or whether it comes from other places. For example, maybe a tow or maybe provided through repair orders that are being extracted from dealers on a real-time basis. And it combines that data in a way that we can identify if there's an issue with respect to the vehicle. We then obviously have a control center that's going to engage and engage one with the customer to understand what's happening, engage with the driver if necessary, but then also engage with the dealer to make sure that the information that we've got is coordinated in a way that we can use our systems at a corporate level to engage on getting parts where they need to be at the same time. In addition to that, if they're complicated repairs or repair procedures need to be validated with the customer or with the dealer, making sure that all of those things are happening in a way that we are getting to the problem a lot faster and actually addressing those issues faster to drive the uptime through this process.
Okay, yeah, coordination is key, and with better coordination, we can drive times down, I guess, right, for getting vehicles back on the road.
That's the goal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so bold statement on 100% uptime, right? That Stellantis is making 100% uptime. I mean, so I guess we're talking about what are the missing ingredients to get there, right? It's really having that coordination and that connectivity. But what do you think?
So let's just start with the statement around 100% uptime, right? It is a super ambitious kind of out there kind of statement, and I think obviously that's something that we would love to achieve, but it's something that is a significant goal that we're working towards, right? I think that this really kind of goes to early detection, and the early detection is what I'm talking about in terms of intervention to reduce the lead time, to get a repair in place, to get the part to where it needs to go, to engaging and kind of moving that process forward. And all of this comes back down to making sure that we are reducing the time that vehicle's down, because we know the vehicle being down means revenue is not being generated. It means costs are being incurred. It's all of it that goes with it, right? I think the other part of this is vehicle health data really helps shorten that path too. So when it comes through the way that it's connected and ultimately we extract that information, that vehicle health information is super important in terms of shortening that path to kind of get that resolution. I think too, the uptime and command center are going to be automatically detecting some of these issues. And so it's an easier way now to, again, shorten that path in terms of making sure that we can resolve the issue and drive that uptime for the customer. And then I think, to me, it really comes down to data and managing data and possibly even getting to an agentic AI model in the future where we have 24/7 monitoring, that you're not relying on a person. We actually have that level of intelligence built into systems that can really move that going forward. And that's obviously a part of the ingredients that we're looking at and are evaluating use cases in terms of how that works for us and how that can improve the customer experience.
Yeah, well, here's a question that I've been asking for literally the past 10 years. Are we there yet with predictive maintenance, right? I mean, sounds like we've really starting to get some catalysts to really better predict when a vehicle is going to fail, when a part is going to fail, and address that before it does fail. But what do you think?
So look, I mean, we've heard it for a long period of time too, and trust me, it's not for lack of effort in terms of trying to get there, right?
I hear you.
I think the key element that I'd say is it goes back to data and the consistency in terms of how we can get data. And there are a multitude of inputs that come in that determine and have an impact in terms of predictive maintenance. So driving, state of driving, weather, various things that go into the analysis that require us to determine what maintenance will be required at what point in time. Yeah. And that obviously kind of drives implications in terms of maintenance and repair events as a result of all of those factors that are coming in. Yeah. I also would say that vehicle models continue to to enhance, and there's new technology that gets introduced, and there's
Yeah.
new requirements that come from maintenance.
For
and so
sure, ADAS
manage
in particular, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's this continual evolution that we see in terms of the introduction of safety features and everything else that move on. And so obviously trying to keep up with that as well as kind of get the predictive maintenance element in place is a challenge. I think we're closer today than what we've been in the past, but there's still a lot more work that needs to be done in order to be able to say that we have a definitive predictive model that will be in place. But I do think that there's some stop gaps along the way that will help us when I think about, and one of the things that's in pilot for us right now is what we call RDA, so remote diagnostics. That's one of the elements that we'll be working
RDO?
towards. RDA, remote diagnostics.
Remote diagnostics, okay. Yeah.
And so that will be one of the elements that we'll be looking to get once we've completed with the pilot, move forward with that as one of the elements to help with that, but certainly not necessarily at a predictive level yet. Now, what we do know today, certain aspects in terms of vehicle health reports, we take a look at, for example, maintenance requirements that do get flagged as a part of those alerts today. So there's some things that are a lot closer today. There's some that are a lot more complicated. And what I'd say is some repairs, some maintenance are very complicated. And so they're not as easy to just get a flag that says that it actually requires some level of intervention, some level of deeper analysis, some level of tech involvement in order to be able to make sure that we are addressing our customers' needs in the right way. And certainly, maybe at a future point in time, we'll be able to diagnose some of these on a remote basis, but certainly some of them are very challenging at this point in time.
Yeah, certainly. Well, Darren, on that note, let me just say thank you for joining us on Automotive Fleet on the Move.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful.
For sure.